And we are live, week 11. Welcome back, Robot Mentality Podcast. It's your boy Ben.
This your boy Nick Saylor.
Yeah,
Oh, I
notice
said
the
my
pause
last name.
there. Yeah, we're getting better at this intro.
Cat's out
At
of the
least
bag.
this is take one this time. Last time we had like 4 takes, just messing up recording and my mic muted. But we're growing. We're getting there. We're getting there. So,
We're growing. Growers,
how
not
you been,
showers.
Nick? It's been a pretty. I feel like I haven't talked to you in forever. It's only really been a week. It's kind of been a long week. But
Yeah, I don't think I've talked to you since Thursday. Been doing good. Just staying busy on this house. When did I talk to you last about the house I was about to close
I think
on?
I think last week
Or
before the
last week.
podcast.
So I guess I'll give some background for the listeners. I put in an offer. I've been looking for like a single family house for about 3 months now. I'm trying to buy that and then rent out the rooms to roommates to where I can live in it for free, like a kind of like a single family house hack type deal. It's been a long time trying to find something. I finally found a house. I changed up my strategy a little bit and then found something right away. Got an accepted offer about a week and a half ago. Had the inspection mid last week, and then in the inspection period, you put in like requests for what you want fixed, and
Yeah.
basically the furnace wouldn't turn on, and it was old, so I asked for a new furnace. And then there was something called a sewer lateral line, which I think it's like a backup line for the sewer, so it doesn't even really matter. But there's like it goes from the house to the road, and it went like under the driveway to the road, and where it was at the driveway, it was cut off and like disconnected. So I requested that got fixed as well, along with a few other small things. So then yesterday, my real estate agent just calls me, and so basically I send those requests, and then they're supposed to say back what they will do. My real estate agent called me and said the sellers just straight up sent a contract back to cancel the deal, and they wanted to back out of the sale, and they wanted us to sign to like forfeit the
Damn.
deal. Yeah, to forfeit the accepted offer.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, but my real estate agent was all pissed off because I mean, like, as an agent, you don't make any money until the house closes. So
Oh
she's
yeah.
been working with me for like three
A
months, and
while.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not a typical client. Like most people, I feel like buying a house will just see a house, and the wife will be like, "Oh my god, I love the kitchen," and then like they buy the house like overpriced. But I've been like, we've been going to a ton of houses, and like I've just been like, no, no, no. I put in a few offers. So she's all pissed off, and then she kind of was like, "Well, do you still want it? If we can kind of work something out?" I was like, "Yeah, I mean, I still want it." So I guess she called the other real estate agent, was going back and forth with them, and then I just got a text this evening saying that they got the city out there, and the city's going to fix the sewer line, and then they're going to fix the furnace.
Nice. There you go.
So I think we're back on track. But
Yeah.
so that's kind of been occupying the mind for a little bit.
Yeah, I
But
know there's rules because we had something happen in our front yard before. It's a certain distance away from the road is the owner's responsibility, but then a certain distance is also the city's. And it differs for what city you're in, just your city laws, but I guess you lucked out there if it's technically a city liability if they're willing to pay for it.
yeah, they said the city's paying for it all. So I think that saved the deal because
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking because they're being super shady. Like my agent said that that's never happened to her before, where someone just like straight up said they didn't want to sell anymore after they got the inspection notice. So I'm guessing either they had got an offer afterwards that was more, or they just were like thinking that the sewer was going to cost a lot, so they were just going to hope that they
Just
got
hold it.
someone who didn't inspect the sewer after me.
Yeah. It's pretty scummy
Um,
overall. Or they found
Definitely
drug money in the
scummy
backyard, one of the two.
in the walls.
In the walls, yeah.
I hope.
Hey, well, it
Yeah,
worked out then. How long is it gonna take to get everything done?
should be 18 days from closing now. The closing's on the 25th, and I got my two roommates locked in.
Do you
So
really?
basically,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and it's my two best friends. It's my Shapes is coming over with me from the apartment right now, and then my other buddy
Oh, he
Dalton.
ended up
So
coming in. I thought he was
yeah,
moving with his other
he was
friends.
yeah he was going to, but then he decided to come. So basically,
Nice.
all my payments together will be $700 a month, and then each of them are going to pay 400 a month for rent. So we cash
Nice.
flowing, baby. So
Yeah, good
I'll
stuff.
be living for free if it all goes through. So
Cool, cool.
ex- excited for that. So that's kind of what I've been up to this last week, but it's been chill. You've been trading? You making any good trades this week?
I've kind of been on the sidelines. I've been buying shares of stuff, which I've done well on, but nothing too crazy. No options, nothing too fun. I
Just like
had
swing
I had
trade stuff?
Activision, yeah, I had Activision, Uber, and Lyft, and I made money on all those. Not like an insane amount. I wasn't putting too much money in, but besides that, it's been kind of, I don't know, it's been kind of a slow week because I have cash. I'm just waiting on a few different stocks to be trading at their all-time highs, and then see what they do with that, and then hit them with some puts. So I got a few I've been watching really closely that are pretty overvalued right now.
Talking like some tech stocks or even like
Yeah, one
retail
is,
stuff.
and I think I mentioned it in Discord. I don't know if you saw it, but one is eBay. I'm watching right now, um, which they have a really weird case, just because they obviously benefit from everybody being shut down, just being an online retailer, and people, selling stuff because either they need money or they're just bored and sorting through stuff, whatever. But the internals of eBay are really, really bad right now. Um, so I don't, the sales increase is not enough to justify where they're trading at. It's kind of like what Amazon did, where Amazon mooned pre-earnings, and then their earnings came out, and yeah, earnings were great, but they mooned so high that the sales numbers are not there to justify how high they were, right? So that's what I
Right.
kind of think's going on with eBay. So we'll see. I mean, I'll watch if there's any resistance at its all-time high and see what it does, and I'll try to play it.
Yeah, it could
But dude,
either
it is a
break
game
resistance.
changer. I have been using Thinkorswim, which is TD's screener.
Hmm.
Or I don't, what would you call it? Screener, right?
Yeah, live trading
Yeah.
tools basically.
It um it is amazing and it's free. Like it is kick ass. I was really surprised. It took forever to get into my TD account because I had made one and then my security question was wrong for some reason, even though I always answer it the same for the that specific security question.
Did it ask you your favorite pair of underwear and Ninja
No,
underwear?
no. Um, but I had to sit on the phone, just sit on hold for hours. Like the last 3 nights, I just put my phone on my desk while I was on my computer and just let it be on hold for hours until I got through last night. Finally, after 3 nights, guess everybody's calling TD, worried about. I don't even know what you'd be worried about at this point. Everything's up. So, but
People are gonna start
it's a
selling
game
probably.
changer though, man. Thinkorswim really is a game changer. The tools they have on there, like I'm running well, the biggest thing that's really dope is this indicator called RSI, which it's like this calculation that shows when things are overbought or oversold, and it actually is really
Hmm.
cool. I really like it. So, yeah, that's been cool. It's like you can actually do some good TA on some things. Because TradingView is cool, but I didn't want to pay for it, so I wasn't. You can only use a certain
Yeah,
amount of indicators without
it's
paying.
nice to learn.
Yeah,
A little TA, some technical analysis.
yeah,
It's fun looking at that stuff. I would like to dabble with that more eventually. I think options are sweet just because they're so high risk, high reward. Like it's almost like high risk, higher reward. Like it's you can get unlimited
yeah,
reward.
yeah, yeah,
But day trading, basically, you've been doing swing trading this week with those stocks you've been holding. I feel like
yeah.
not that it's more predictable, but there's obviously way less downside. But
Oh
you're not
yeah,
going to
yeah,
get
yeah.
near the upside either.
Like
But
if I'm playing
I,
earnings on Activision, they're not going to drill $20. Like even if they have a bad report, right? So, um, yeah, it's definitely a lot less risky.
more like just taking that 50-50 with your hunch.
Yeah.
But so you're talking about some of the stocks you're holding. I hold Uber, so I've had that for almost a year now. That did well. And then Beyond Meat, that was down to like $60. That's obviously the not even fake meat. It's just what would you call it, like a vegetarian substitute to meat.
It's technically vegan, but yeah, it's a meat substitute. I know a decent amount about it, but go on before I cut you off.
Well, yeah, I mean they've been crushing it. They were at trading around 110 before all this happened. Then they went down to $60 when everything was dipping, and then now they're at like 128 on earnings because they actually turned a profit for the first time this year. And now I've been looking at it. It's just interesting hearing like I didn't realize when I bought the shares, I just thought it was like a meat substitute. Like I've seen like there's stuff like that, but what they do, and I'm not sure that all meat substitutes do this, but they basically extract the protein in this like I guess it's like a lab setting type thing. I mean, I'm sure there's like mass production of it, but then they like grow muscle out of it and like with some scientific way. I want to like learn more about it, but it just seems like almost like next level. It's not just like a bean burger, like a what do they call those? Like a black bean burger,
Oh,
which
those are
like,
terrible.
it's just like mashed up beans and like in
Yeah.
crushed into a
Well,
patty. Like that's not what this is.
are you sure that's Beyond Meat doing that though, or another company? Because anything I've ever heard of Beyond Meat is not anything synthetically growing.
I don't
But
think
I
it's
could be
like
wrong unless it's a new product they have.
their CEO was on CNBC talking. I'm pretty sure he said I don't know. I should look more into it before I speak on it, but I thought he was saying like they somehow like get the protein out of the plants and then they it's not like lab grown meat, that's not what it is, but like they like alter the vegetables. I don't know. I It sounds like more than just like mashing up black beans into the
Yeah,
shape
yeah,
of a
yeah, yeah,
burger
yeah.
patty.
I mean, I know it's not. It's completely non-GMO, which
Yep,
you had said
that's their call.
earlier. So yeah, there's definitely something they do with the protein to get it to be a certain texture. I don't know what that involves, and maybe that sounds gross, but I know mainly they're pea protein for the most part, and that's been a really popular like a protein base for a lot of products that have come out in recent years. That seems to be the one
Mhm.
that has stuck because before that, a lot of these different brands hopped around tons of different types of protein, like soy and just I don't know, random other stuff. But I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think it's the way of the future in a lot of ways we're heading, and I'm fine with it. I have nothing against it. If you should go get one sometime from like a real sit down restaurant when they prepare it like a real burger. I mean, that you could put two burgers in front of you, you would not know the difference. And trust me, I have three vegans in my family, like two sisters and a mom, all vegan. I have tried everything under the sun. So it actually is legit.
When did you have Beyond Meat?
My mom makes it all the time whenever we do any meat. Like if we do burgers or something, they'll have Beyond Burgers. Or
Hmm.
a lot of restaurants we go to carry it. Just places my family goes occasionally. And I've only had one once, and it was at home, just 'cause I wanted to try it. And I mean, it's good, man. Even the texture, the way it looks, if it's made correctly, you really couldn't tell a difference. So,
I would like to try it. So we were talking about this a little bit off stream before, and my thinking on this is so there's like a large group of people, and you had said it was even like the general population's view on it is like
yeah.
against this
Oh yeah.
this meat substitute, and I can understand that, like kind of like growing up, maybe like where I did, or like with like the in the community that I did, I would definitely see that because I grew up in like a farming community, and like everyone is all about like supporting the farmers and supporting like not necessarily even like local products, but just you want to eat meat because it's the real thing, and like being a
Yeah.
vegetarian is like why would you be a vegetarian? Like it was like a lesser like some like a weird thing that people did. And I know it's not like that here, but I don't see any issue. Like there's definitely like valid reasons that like it would be good for people to go vegetarian and eat that way instead of actual beef or whatever if they're like getting it from a normal just like a straight up where it's like mass produced like say something like Tyson, they're just chicken, right?
No, they do it all. They do it all.
They do it all. Like
Yeah.
something like that. Like that's not like and I'm fine with it. Like I eat it too, or I have eaten it, but it's not in like this like great like humanely grown way, you know.
Oh,
So
it's terrible, dude. And my that's my mom and one of my sisters. I'm not sure about my third sister. Hers is probably more, or my second sister. I guess the third vegan in the family. Hers is probably more from a health standpoint. But my mom and sister originally, they're only vegans from an ethical standpoint. It's diet
okay,
comes second to them. So I've seen a lot about factory farming and stuff, and that is I mean, when you think about it, when you're eating it, it's like you get so used to eating meat that I guess you don't think about it, really realize it, but it is disgusting. The documentaries you watch inside those factories, which they're not supposed to be in there, by the way. I mean, it's completely like wrong. Like it just is. The way the animals are treated, the way they kill them on freaking conveyor belts, torture the shit out of them, like on purpose. Like, have you ever it's like a sociological term, disenchantment. I can't remember whose theory it is, but like
mm-mm.
the idea that once you do something wrong and you keep doing it, you basically become desensitized to where you think it's correct.
Right,
Like a lot of the workers in there and the people responsible for actually killing things are just like they're so used to doing it, they see no problem in it, and they just like it's just so much bad stuff. Like when they kill animals, they don't just kill them. It's always like these weird torture ways that these people do for fun. It's just all of it's just bad. Like it's not right. I mean, that's
yeah,
why I'm on both ends. Obviously, you're so used to eating meat that it's tough to maybe even go to a restaurant. and not get something meat based in some way. But um, I mean, I don't know.
there's
I think I could do it, especially as there's more now. There's restaurants popping up everywhere. Restaurants carrying like Beyond Meat products or having their own unique dishes or whatever. Like it's becoming way more mainstream, especially the last 5 years. So I honestly think it's the future for a lot of reasons. And honestly, from what I see, I think the majority of people of vegans, I'd say over 50% of vegan vegetarian are probably on an ethical basis, not like a diet basis.
there's
Which
a
is which
large
is fair. I mean, either way, I think it's fair to have that stance.
there's a lot of reasons that it could be like that in the future. Like I don't know what it is with me, but for this streak, I had this thing where I like only dated girls that were vegetarian. Like I had 3 girlfriends in a row that were vegetarian, like without even knowing beforehand. I don't even know. Like they were all for different reasons. Like the first one was kind of like the ethical, like the animal rights type thing, like humane reasons. The second one was for like environmental reasons, and that's another thing
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get into, which like the you can get into global warming all you want. People are on each side of it, or like just say they don't know. But like the carbon emissions that it takes to produce like a beef cow, especially at like a mass production level, is like so much higher than
well,
any sort of plant production, just
yeah.
because of how much they consume and what they
And
exist.
what a lot of people don't think about is the true output of carbon. The majority of our carbon output in America is from cows, like the burping.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, but we grow so much beef that like it's gonna. And people are also concerned about these factories or whatever having no emissions, cars no emissions. But like our beef industry is only growing. That's the main source. So like you know what I mean? It's just kind of people don't look at the big picture when it comes to that.
They ignore like the giant thing, and
Yeah,
even just water production. Like I was watching a documentary a week and a half ago about how like water is like the next like it's going to be like a scarce commodity eventually, and what it takes to like grow a cow again is like so much water gets spent on like a hamburger, because between watering the plants that it eats and then what it drinks and then the production it takes to process it all, like it's like it's
yeah,
not a very efficient way for like the world to produce
yeah,
food, I guess. If and I don't really think like you can have different stances on it, but I don't think that's very disputable. Now, I like meat a lot. Like I want to eat it. Like it's and at this point there's like if I'm trying to like gain muscle and like grow, I don't think that there's anything more efficient than eating like, beef or whatever, because like from a price standpoint and I guess like a convenience standpoint. So I think it definitely has its place. But like something I've thought about, like this last fall, I went on a hunting trip out west, and me and my grandpa got an elk, and that's like I don't know how many 100 pounds of meat that is. The elk was probably I don't know close to 800 pounds, maybe 6 to 800 pounds. I'm not positive. But I've been eating basically the only red meat that I've been eating since October has been elk meat. So I think like it'd almost be cool to like if the only like meat that you consume is something like in a clean like hunting. I think is completely um, different than like to get meat from
yeah.
hunting is
Oh yeah,
completely different than to be getting it from buying it at a grocery store,
yeah,
because
yeah,
in my opinion it's humane in the way that you kill them because it's quick and they're in the wild. The meat is healthier because they're literally living in the wild eating natural things, and it's more efficient. You're like cutting out all the extra crap that makes people bag on the meat industry. Like people are against hunting for ethical reasons, because they see it that way, but that's not the way I see it at all. So I think it would be cool if like the meat consumption I had eventually was only from meat that I hunted and like harvested myself.
yeah, yeah. No,
I
that's
know.
a really good point. And hunting kind of gets a bad spin, which is ironic too, because yes, there's some people on the animal rights side that aren't for hunting, and if you're consistent across the board, your opinion's fair. We don't have to agree with that opinion, but it's a fair take. I mean, one thing about hunting is overpopulation. A lot of these animals are gonna end up dying on streets, killing humans too. Car accidents.
Mhm.
Why deer get hunted. So I think it's fair as long as it's controlled. Like that's my opinion on it. As long as we're not over hunting and we're making sure the population regrows properly.
Yeah.
I'm for it. But a lot of the people that are against hunting, they're specifically against hunting, like are meat eaters that are like pro Tyson, which I don't understand.
You're just an
Maybe it
idiot
has
at that point.
maybe it has something to do with guns as well, and the idea that you could carry a gun to go hunt, which I don't know if that's why, but I see that all the time on social media. Like pro average meat eaters are against hunting, and I don't get that. But
I think they almost see it as like you're making a sport out of killing something.
yeah,
And it's so much more than that to an actual hunter. Like, yeah, some people just, but like the majority of people, like, it's not about that.
yeah, yeah.
And the meat you're eating is dying, and it's like not living in like nearly as good of a way as like a hunted animal in the
It's
wild
not
would
even
ever be.
living. It's literally just practically a brain dead
It's
animal. Like it's
existing,
literally an
growing.
animal. Yeah, it's absolutely screwed. Um, I like so yeah. You like you said, there's kind of the ethical reason, the environmental reason, and the diet reason. Which I think at first when this kind of movement started, I would almost argue a lot of it was diet reason. But
Yeah,
now I think it's completely um, for ethical reasons for the most part. And a lot of people, it's for both.
environmental
I
is
won't
big too.
like all the known research points us to that like a heavy amount of meat consumption is not good for you, especially if it's all red meat. Because a lot of people, man, eat flipping red meat like every meal a day. It's just not. It's not good. Even your if you go to your doctor right now, they're gonna tell you that's not good. Like so, I think we'd be a lot healthier population if everybody was eating, um, kind of plant-based proteins. But and and a lot of the haters for this, because the big beef is a very strong industry. So there's a lot of haters and kind of misconception around this, and you really have to dig in to find kind of some of the truths to some of these plant-based proteins. But a lot of them will spin that ethical argument. They'll be like I saw a dude on Joe Rogan that talked about this the whole time, and I guess it's a fair opinion. I just think it's really a white knighty opinion. But the dude's like, if you're so pro animal, right? If this is for ethical reasons, so you want to shut down the factory farms, but instead you want to go clear a field for crops to be produced. Do you know how many mice that will kill and bugs that will kill and rodents that will kill? I think that's like I think that's such a bad argument. Give me your take on that. I think that is pointless. Like
You're
one,
saying it's a bad argument for him to be assigning like that same life to mice.
well, no, it's not even the same life, but it's like I guess you could look at kind of utilitarianistic in a way because if you have to take a one-time thing of clearing a field, which yeah, I mean is unfortunate, but at the end of the day you have to feed people somehow, right? So that's a one-time thing, and yes, it's unfortunate if animals have to die. I will note that. But that's a one-time thing, you
That's
know?
just such a stupid
It's
opinion.
not like you're consistently feeding animals through a Tyson factory. Like it's a complete difference.
Yeah, I think that's just like an idiotic take, like that someone is just like scrapping for something to say.
Yeah.
It's like just that one point you have just to be like, well, you're not like you're still not right, like
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
mice are and grubs are dying. Like, come on, like
That dude
that
had a
doesn't
whole
matter.
2 hours on Joe Rogan about that like exact topic, and it was interesting to listen to. But it was just a
Well, it
bad, just the way he spun his argument was bad. Like,
shows that there's like pros and cons to
I mean,
everything,
there
and like
are
there's no
like,
perfect solution. Maybe that's what it shows,
and on social media a lot.
but if your
Even I've seen
argument,
articles about this. Or go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if your argument to like keep like mass producing like these like GMO animals and slaughter. I'm not even super against that either. But your argument against or for that can't be if you plant a farm field,
Yeah,
bugs are gonna die. Like
yeah. Well,
those those animals are still eating feed that is grown.
that's another thing too. Is I've seen articles written about this. I've seen on social media. There's this whole white knight community around like will vegans kill ants in their house or just stupid things like that, and that's such a dumb argument. I just see that as the worst argument in the world. Like I think even a vegan, okay, if they got attacked by a bear right now, they're not just gonna roll over and die. If they had a gun in their hand, they'd shoot it. Like,
Yeah,
it's the same thing with ants. If ants are in your house, that's invading your living space. You can't just live with a ton of ants everywhere, right? So, I mean, you could, but
I
it's
have
it's
a
different when something's kind of in on you, no matter how big the creature is or small. You know.
Yeah, I agree. They gotta
So
go.
I just hate those arguments.
Here's a
It's the
question
future,
that
whether people like it or not. So buy Beyond Meat while you can on the next dip, boys.
seriously.
Yeah.
One question I have about like an entire country or society going to that is there's obviously lots of land in America, but like a beef cow is infinitely, well, not infinitely, there's a number for it, but like feels infinitely more dense than like a field with crops on it, right? So like
Well,
could
that's because of
our
the screwed system. But
well
yeah.
could not necessarily like a cow is like a it's a certain size. You can never get that many plants worth of food into the size of a
Well,
cow.
no, but
Like
how they pack cows, they're in these cages and stacked with friggin' forklifts. Like it,
true.
we're very efficient. I get what you're saying. If you go just one cow standing compared to a field or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I'm basically
Okay,
saying. You
but
got it.
like we've made it so dense, like it's sickly dense. But
Yeah, I guess you can argue like the unethical thing because I was gonna say like, can do we have enough like crop field where we can get 300 million people eating plants?
well, the thing is too is people don't realize how far. And the same dude that made that dumb argument, is smart enough to realize this. We've really developed with where we're going with farming. I mean, there's plenty of I think it's called chain farming. I'd have to find the term. I'll find it after this. Things in like like LA or New York startups that are literally in these super tall warehouses, and they have these things that they grow plants in, and naturally too. It's not GMO stuff. I'm sure there are things that do GMO, but it's literally these farm beds that are just stacked on top of each other, freaking 60 feet high. They have
Like
these machines to
skyscraper
pull
farming?
things, and it's basically just stacking these like farm beds in these giant warehouses. And that's a thing that's happening. It's an industry that's growing. So
That's a
it's not like
crazy thought.
it's not like farming has to be this thing that's just in a field. Like you can definitely make it more dense. I mean that will take time, obviously, as things develop, but it's not like our food consumption in general has to be the same process it was when the Earth began. Like the people that are so anti-plant-based protein act like farming can never evolve, which it can. It's just that industry is not really focused on. We're focused on meat. We're not focused on crops as much. Meat's definitely more
That's a good
mainstream.
point. And well, something I've learned is like certain like industries will get like sustained even if they should die. Like they'll get sustained by government
Yep.
subsidies.
Yep.
That's like
Exactly.
another economics principle. So like you something that's healthy for an economy and just like production and growth in a society is letting the bad things like die and letting them go away. But if we continue to subsidize, um, I don't want to say farmers in general, but just like this type of production of like beef and all that, if it keeps getting subsidized, it's going to get we're hanging on and just being less efficient as a result. When there could be something that like evolves
Yeah.
in that market.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is too, like we just gave a bunch of bailout money to Tyson, and they were basically forced to stay working because they've had a ton of issues supply chain wise. And what's screwed is too, man. I read something about this because the factory was closed, and I guess so. Like animals can't be taken back to where they came from necessarily. So a lot like these trucks would have to drive it to the factory, and then because the factory is essentially closed, Tyson would just euthanize all the animals, and they just have fields of euthanized animals right now. I think that that's just messed up in general. Like if you're gonna kill it, at least find a way to get meat out of it. That's just terrible. I mean, it's already a terrible process, but I don't know how that got okayed. Like, okay, well, the factory's partially closed. We'll just send people out to kill them all, and we'll just let them go rot. Like, what did that do? Like,
That's bad. If that actually happened, that does sounds like too bad to be true.
it is. It's very true. You can look into it. I don't know if they did it on site at Tyson, but it was Tyson related, where if the animals got turned away, they had to be euthanized. So, which is weird because they were closed for like 3 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks because
Wow.
they tried to stay open as long as they could, and then they'd like 3 employees die. So then they shut down, and then they basically been forced to reopen. Which at
Yeah,
this point they should reopen, but
for
it
whatever reason, these places have been like really like hotbeds for coronavirus. These meat factories.
because they're nasty ass places, dude. I mean, they're just disgusting places.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but the thing is, what was I gonna say? I just lost my train of thought completely. Never mind. All right.
Bad. Cut you off.
No, no, no. You didn't cut me off. I had the space to talk. I had something important left to say. I don't know. Oh, it was that. Yeah, we've subsidized the industry so much, and it's almost like I'm not for it, but it's a weird necessary evil because everybody here is so addicted. Well, the majority of Americans have terrible diets, first off. But everybody here is so addicted to meat. Like, literally, they can't
Hmm.
eat a meal
I yeah.
without meat.
I am the
Um,
same way.
oh, I'm not the same way at all. I could go a week without meat and be fine. But it's almost like this sounds terrible, but I, if we all of a sudden have no meat, I don't know what part of the human addictive psyche you unlock. Like, is cannibalism gonna run rapid or something stupid, or people are gonna
No,
be eating their pets? Like, yeah, I don't know. If you said no meat for a whole year for everybody, with how addicted to meat people are, there would be some weird
maybe
stuff going down. Maybe not. I'm not
black
saying maybe not
market for
cannibalism,
human.
but people would
Can
be
you
eating their
imagine?
dogs, man. I'm dead ass.
Just imagine telling people like, "Hey, you got to get all your protein from beans now." Like people would be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna head out." Like I'm.
Well, the thing is, too, man, there's so many ways to get your protein, and people only look at it as Beyond Meat or beans. Like, there's so many different ways, which is unfortunate, because that's what even schools instill in you is freaking food pyramid, which is a sham. But, um, yeah, there's a lot, man. Like, one way, well, one way, because, um, when my family kind of first went vegan, so my family members, they started buying almond milk, which was kind of the first big, outside of soy milk, it was kind of the first big milk of something blended, I guess. But
Hmm.
that literally has less sugar, more calcium, and more protein than a glass of milk. And it's non-GMO. Like, I've had that. I haven't had a glass of milk in almost, I think I was 13. So pretty much like 7, 8 years. I've not had. I eat
Really?
milk in things, but I've not had a straight glass of milk in that long because it honestly tastes better and it's better for me. Like, people don't look into it enough. There's so many ways you can get your protein. Like, a lot of people get their protein just off of milk. You can get your protein intake for a day off a few glasses of milk, like what your body needs. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of ways to get protein in your body, and people just think, oh, I gotta go to McDonald's. So
Yeah, that is funny. It's tough. Like I'm trying to like when I was trying to gain weight, I was at like 200 grams of protein a day, which is a lot. Like that's you'd have to eat a lot of freaking beans to get that much protein, but it's possible. Like a normal person probably needs like 75 grams of protein a day. But interesting caveat on the thing with milk. I went like maybe 2 to 3 years without drinking milk either. Like I would eat it and things, but I have like milk allergy kind of runs in my family. So for some reason, I got in my head that I was allergic to milk, which I'm not because I'm
oh
drinking milk. Like I
yeah,
started drinking milk about 6 months ago when I was trying to
the
start
milk
gaining again.
sweats.
Bro, I drink it was almond milk as well, and it's fine. Like I didn't have a problem with like I would eat cereal with it. The first time I had
It
milk
depends
and
what type you're
cereal,
getting though. There's some nasty types. You got
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. The first time I had milk and cereal though, with like milk, it was like 10 times better. It made the cereal taste so good. Like I couldn't even believe how much better it tasted.
Here's the thing about almond milk, which we found. You cannot have anything flavored or sweetened. Completely unflavored, unsweetened is the way to go because it tastes like
Really,
milk. If you like, we used to buy like vanilla just flavored for a long time, and that gets so disgusting so fast because it
it's
has a
really sugary.
taste. Like, milk
Yeah,
doesn't have a taste. It does, but it doesn't. It's weird.
probably you
So
don't
the
understand it.
unsweetened
Keeps you up.
stuff, we get this brand, one of the big ones called Almond Breeze, and that's
Yeah,
really good. I love that. I could never drink a straight glass of milk. And after doing this for so long, I wouldn't even want to. Which I know I still like milk is in things I eat, obviously. So I'm really not, you know, it's not like I'm just not doing milk at all. But just the idea of drinking a fluid out of something's udders is the most disgusting thing to me possible. I don't know why. It's just, especially in the last few years, it's just I couldn't do it. If you put a glass of milk in me, I could not do it.
I'd drill that thing, but I definitely don't like it as much. Like I drank a ton of milk growing up and like in high school.
There's a lot of different types of milks now, but like we just bought some oat milk, which been popping up everywhere all of a sudden. It was really good. I put them in a
Yeah.
shake today. Um, it's you know that's another thing too. That's gonna be a growing thing. The milk industry isn't necessarily the most sustainable industry either. So
Yeah, I think
kind of the
it's right
same
along the
thing.
line. I think people will like sooner just really like reduce milk consumption before they really look for like a hard substitute. Because like, what do you
Yeah,
really need to drink milk for? Like honestly, like I all I drink is water, and I
same.
love water. Like I don't get sick of it. Like one of
Well,
my friends the other
you
day
need
said there
X
was
amount of calcium. I mean, a lot of people that's how they get their proteins in milk. But again, there's a million other ways to do that. It's just people are so kind of close-minded when it comes to what they eat.
yeah.
And
I think
like going back to like Beyond Meat too is if you actually take packages, certain types of meat, I don't know them offhand, but Beyond Meat literally has more protein content than some meats you'd eat in the same proportion. Like I'm not saying a ribeye steak, but I can tell you offhand, but I've seen the comparisons, and so people that say you can't get protein from that, I mean, it literally for what you're eating can out protein something else, which is just so that's why people that are hating Beyond Meat, I'm just saying in 10 years, whether you like it or not, it will be popular. Or a company like Beyond Meat. I don't, maybe Beyond Meat doesn't survive the corporate world.
Impossible's a pretty good
Impossible's
one.
also big. One
I'm not hearing about
caveat
that
though, and my mom was just telling me about this. It's either Impossible or Beyond. One of their product, or no, I think it's Impossible. Um, Something about one of the proteins they use, or no, maybe it's not the protein. It's some ingredient. Is known to like stimulate estrogen levels. So people are avoiding that one currently, especially
one.
men.
Impossible.
If you eat it too much, it boosts your estrogen levels, which for a male you don't want that. Males do need a certain level of estrogen, but you obviously don't want to override testosterone. So I think that's for people that eat it a lot every day. They were finding. So if you're eating it like once a day, it's not a big deal. But I think
Hmm.
that's impossible. I'd have to look into it. There's like four really big brands right now. I know it's not Beyond. I think it's Impossible. I'm pretty sure. But
I
so
could
they're gonna have
see.
to figure that one out pretty quick, or they're gonna get stomped out of the market pretty fast.
Yeah, that's no good. They had like deals with I think Whopper at Burger King. They had an
Yeah,
Impossible
yeah, yeah.
Whopper,
Dude,
so
and
they were doing
Beyond.
really
So
well.
Impossible's all over. Um, well, I don't. It's not like super drastic, but it's just enough to where like people don't want rising estrogen levels. At least men don't. A lot of men don't. Maybe some do, but um, like Beyond's and everything, man. Like Beyond has their partnerships all over, and that's why there's stock moons. Every day, a new restaurant says they're gonna have a trial run of Beyond. They go to the ceiling, but um, a lot of like Impossible has a lot of partnerships. I'm trying to think. Well, okay. I lost my train of thought again. I
I
just
haven't
can't
heard
think.
of
But
others. I don't see why.
Impossible's in a couple different restaurants. I think they're in Starbucks. Maybe that's Beyond.
I think Beyond
But
has Dunkin'.
they're all in all stores. Like they're all really. I
They,
mean,
yeah,
at some point, just because it's become popular, like Burger King's best-selling item after they launched that in months after was the Impossible Whopper. Like, and that Burger King's not a, as far as a fast food chain goes, it's definitely not a top tier. So that really set them apart there for a few months before everybody else hopped on the trend. Like
but it costed
all
more.
these
That was
things are gonna follow. Well, yeah,
once
I mean,
once they get cost to be similar, then
yeah,
or like the same, then I think it's really gonna
really good.
start changing. And like what it's cost in production. If you can get the production high enough to where it the cost hits correctly.
Hmm.
Because I guess with their lower production, they can probably afford to sell it for more because there's only so much demand, or there's a certain amount. Like that's probably just the price where it makes sense for their supply hits demand.
Well,
Like if they can
they're
sell it at $7, there's
yeah,
gonna be people to buy it.
they are really beyond specifically because I was looking at this earlier. They're really well positioned at the moment because of the meat shortages that are apparently coming. Um, and they're actually taking advantage by they were lowering their prices and starting to do these value packs where it's like
Right.
more stuff for less or whatever at certain grocery stores. So they could capitalize off it. It just depends what their supply chain looks like to sustain that. But
It's interesting. It's fun to have some skin in the game with investing. Like I'm definitely not some huge like vegetarian push guy or like trying to go against the meat industry. Like I definitely think things will change, but I don't have a huge dog in the fight.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see like industries that are changing kind of before our eyes. Like, and all this coronavirus stuff is really speeding along a lot of those types of things.
Yeah.
That's all my thoughts
Yeah, I
on
think we
that.
kind of exhausted beyond meat. I don't know. Sorry for the low energy all of a sudden. I just have like lost my train of thought 2 times. I don't know what's going on, but
We are doing a little later podcast than normal. Usually we hit around 8:30 tonight. It was like
yeah.
9:40. We can if you got
Let's.
something you want to show me and go for it, or
No,
transition into something
I'm
else.
down to keep running for a few more minutes.
All
Let's
right.
let's get into water. You mentioned water as a
Okay.
commodity, and I'm somebody. If we're going from just our classic robot mentality standpoint, right? Just life improvement in general. Um, like when I cut soda and legitimately just drank water, water freaking changes your life. If you have a water bottle, I just carry around my like shaker cup, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I probably drink 8 or 9 of these a day on the low side, and that's why I'm not doing yoga. When I'm doing yoga, I do way more. But literally, you feel 25 times better in a day if you are drinking water the whole day. Actually, I don't know what you think about that.
I 100% agree. So for whatever reason, like in high school and the beginning of college, like I did not drink water like at all. I don't know why. I didn't know that it was important. So like when I played sports and all that, I would get cramps. Like I'd be playing baseball in the middle of summer, I'd get these terrible calf cramps. It was just because I was dehydrated. And but since I kind of got like on more like of a health um focus, I guess, kind of once I started having a full-time job and like working out in the mornings, that was when I started to drink water. And I also carry around a water bottle. It's a 32-ounce water bottle. I probably drink like four, maybe five of them a day. So that's over a gallon of water, which isn't anything crazy. But I think if you're constantly drinking water, there's a ton of benefits, like scientific benefits. But I feel more awake for sure drinking water compared to like, well, I guess if you're drinking soda, obviously you're gonna have sugar crashes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's a part of it. They say your I don't know if your immune system is better, but it like helps you avoid sickness more if you're constantly drinking water because like flushing out the toxins in your
Mhm.
body.
Mhm.
And I think that must even help with soreness and just like really anything, like even like eating, like it helps flush. It just gets toxins out of your
Yeah.
body, and I don't know. It's like just to be hydrated feels good. Like you get headaches from not being hydrated. Like if you get headaches a decent amount, it's probably because you're dehydrated. Like there's so many good things that drinking water does for you that
Yeah.
like if you want to be productive and like top of your game, like just like mentality wise, water is so important.
I totally agree. What is it? What's the you learn this in school, but I don't remember the exact number. The human body's what, like 3/4 water? H not physically liquid, but
Yeah,
hydrogen, oxygen, right?
I've always
So
heard
it
that. I
makes
don't know.
sense that is it 3/4 or what?
I have no clue. I've
Okay.
heard that though.
It makes sense that you should drink water. Like we're meant to drink water scientifically. That's pretty clear. And I would even say from like a mental health standpoint, like if you're drinking soda, sugary crap, coffee all the time, like
Juices aren't even
juices
good.
even, yeah, juices are a sham. Um, I don't know. It's just when you drink water, you just feel so. If you drink soda for a week and don't drink water, and then the next week you only drink water and no soda, it will be a billion times different. Just the way you feel about yourself. I don't know if it's a weird thing to say, but I think it's at least for me personally, it's true. Like the world's just a different place when you're not drinking a bunch of sugar all the time.
I'm 100% with you. I like if I had to recommend, like if someone asked me like, hey, how do I kind of get like on track, like productivity, health wise, like just feeling good, like I definitely think a top five thing I would say is water. And crazy, like I was out of town weekend and like 2 weeks ago, with one of my buddies. We were turkey hunting, and I was staying at his house, and we were thinking, debating between staying another night. And I was like, cool to stay another night and hunt another night, but like they didn't have any water at their house. Like, and I didn't like, I like filtered water. It's stupid, but whatever. And like, I didn't have a way to drink water that night. And like, I had been drinking soda all day because of it. And like,
Yeah.
literally, I think the number one driving reason I wanted to go home that night, and we ended up going home that night, was because I just was like craving to fill up my water bottle and just
Yeah.
like I just felt like my body needed a big thing of water. And like, I don't know. It's, people drink so much soda and like energy drinks. I drink a cup of coffee a day, sometimes two, like in the morning, just because I like it. But other than that, I don't drink anything now other than water.
Yeah. So
It's a hack. It's a cheat code, man.
it literally is a cheat code. Like I, which you remember, I used to drink Bangs. It was like a month and a half. It was pretty short lived. I'd already stopped soda at that point completely, but and people like soda of all things. It's just like food. I mean, it's all the same group. I mean, it is an addiction. You get the sugar addiction, you get the caffeine addiction. It's totally an addiction, right?
Hmm.
Um, and in a lot of ways, people don't want to compare it, but if you're going on the scientific basis, like you could literally be healthier smoking weed every day than you are drinking a Coke every day, and that's dead serious. Which, we frown on one and promote the other, but
It's just
um,
good branding and marketing, and like because it was
true,
never illegal.
true. I mean, yeah, the energy drinks too are just killer. Like, I think it really should straight up just be you're drinking water and you're drinking milk or whatever your milk substitute is. That should be it. Like I don't, or a lot of people do coffee. I'm fine with coffee. People want to drink coffee. That's totally fine. It works for a lot of people. I'm pretty like anti caffeine at this point. Just me personally, I'm not against it for other people, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, and I'll drink vitamin water as well. I do like the 0 calorie one that we get from Costco. That's really good. I only have these when I'm doing yoga and feel like I need them. And I'll do Pedialyte here and there for hydration. That's really it
Hmm.
though. Outside of that, and those aren't high sugar things. Pedialyte's high salt, but it's supposed to be salt replenishing. That's the point of it. So, I just
I'll
think, or go ahead, go ahead.
no. Well, I was just gonna kind of in the same way. Like I'll drink probably a soda once a week, kind of like as a not even a reward, just as like a treat. Like it's kind of like it's nice to have
Soda
with
does
a
taste
meal
nice. It does. Like, I love
once a
soda.
week. Coffee, I drink it black, so I don't really view that as like a health problem. From a caffeine standpoint, I don't necessarily do it for the caffeine really at all. It's almost just like something to do in the middle of the morning that I like, kind of like breaks up my morning. It's
It's a
almost just like,
routine.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So I could break that if I wanted to, but I just
It's
like it, and
about
I
going up to the
like the taste.
coffee, getting your beans out or your Keurig cup out, whatever, saying hi to Karen. You take a nice sip,
Yeah,
put your glasses on, walk back to your office. That type of vibe.
yeah, and it's almost like then you get back to your office, you got your coffee, and then you lock in and you work. And I think
Yeah.
part of that is the caffeine hitting as you're starting to work, but it's also just like like the routine habit to take like what we drink and put in our body one step further, like the opposite, the inverse of water, like other than like soda and all that, like alcohol destroys.
Yeah.
And I know
Destroys.
you don't have any really first hand experience with this, but like the dehydration like you get from even drinking just a little bit is insane and like throws
Yeah.
away any sort of healthy thing you've been doing for days. Like all that hydration you've been building up by drinking your 4 or 5 water bottles the last 2 days, like you just pissed it all out because alcohol is a
Not to
diuretic.
speak of the literal shot you're taking at your liver, like literal, like actual decay to your liver over time. Like
Yeah,
that's
I don't
even a
even
big kicker.
I don't even look at the
You go
liver.
out and get hammered, like your liver only has so much on it, man. Like it's just that's why I'm so against getting
It's such a long
hammered
term
for
thing. Like
one.
people last a long time doing that, like their whole life. So like that's I can
Yeah,
see how they could argue around that. But just as far as like a day to day thing, and like then you're dehydrated, and then like there's so many other like mental functions that like get stressed from that. Like you'll obviously a hangover, you'll have headaches, but then like anxiety stems from being hungover and like not being hydrated, and like you're killing yourself when you drink. Like
yeah.
after like completely stopping it, like it's insane how much better you feel. Like it's not even something you ever I even really ever want anymore, just because it's so detrimental to being like on a good path. Like in my opinion.
Mhm. Well, not to mention the addictive nature. I mean,
Right. Right.
yeah. So I I might have mentioned this before, and I guess there's kind of more to the story that I'm not gonna talk about on the podcast, but I mean, I honestly don't think I'm gonna drink, so I just don't see myself drinking at all. But, I don't know. 21st birthday, I definitely am not going to get a drink. It's coming up September, but I mean, that's just a me
That's
thing. Again, I don't have a thing against people that do it in moderation.
yeah, same.
It's the biggest. It's kind of go back to like the big beef type stigma around it with how powerful alcohol companies are and how just The stigma around it, how old a lot of them are. They're just old players in the corporate game, and the stigma that it's even somewhat healthy to be drinking more than 2 beers in a week is insane because the science says it's not. Again, I'm very pro drug in a lot of ways. Certain drugs, I'm pro legality, which we'll have to talk about in another podcast. But you are a healthier person smoking weed every day than you are drinking 1 beer every day. Period. Like there's no scientific debate against that. Which is it's weird though because one's pushed away and one, you get a Bud Light commercial on everything you watch or everything you click on. So it's interesting. I mean, it's kind of like what we were talking about with Tyson Beyond Meat. It's kind of the same type of
They're
meat.
they're already in. Well, it's just like such a societal thing too that
Yeah.
that's a cool thing to do in a way to connect with people, and it is. Not. I don't want to say unfortunate. Well, yeah, it is unfortunate that that's like the way that we have to connect, and like that's the first view.
Well, I
Like
don't know if that's necessarily the way we have to connect. I think it's that in
a lot
recent
of circles
years
there.
we've built our culture has built and instilled depression and anxiety in so many people that that's what they need to open up. I think that's the way I
Mm,
look at it. I don't know if you'd
yeah,
agree with that.
that's a
But
whole
more
new can
people
of
that are
worms.
kind of shy or socially anxious, like that's how, they're kind of more free willing.
Yeah, I was just saying most circles are like that,
Yeah.
and that's just the thing that kind of brings people together, whether it's good or not. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't got to get into. We should talk. We should.
We'll have an alcohol and drug podcast coming up.
Sounds
I'd like
good.
to
We should.
talk about that. I'm pretty passionate about like pro legality for everything. That's and one like I'm a pretty conservative dude, but that's one way I'm fully progressive. But
Yeah, I'm with.
we didn't get into water really as a commodity yet. Maybe we'll catch that one sometime soon. We're
Let's
probably
let's
getting near the end.
we should each do a little research on that and get in.
Okay.
We kind of took it a different route, but water as a commodity is super interesting. Look it up if
The
there's
next
a document.
Bezos will be the man, whoever can do it, just easily filter salt water through something, have it come out as freaking just like spring water, will be the richest human the earth will ever have.
First
Easy.
trillionaire.
Yeah. What if it's Bezos to do it too?
He's got the money for R&D.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. It's almost weird that guys like Bezos or Elon Musk or Zuckerberg, the dudes with the cap, Bill Gates, which Bill
All
Gates might
four of
have
those guys.
tried. It's crazy that they don't go hard on that type of thing because I think that's probably the biggest business opportunity there still is on this earth.
Just such a
Obviously,
huge.
the R&D behind it's insane because a million people have tried, still not successful. But
People, yeah, it just hasn't become. I mean, the world has become aware that it's kind of a limited commodity, but not in the U.S. Like I think it was South Africa. There's a city
yeah,
in South Africa that was gonna run out of water, and then they like changed it up like crazy
well,
at what they were doing, and they're
the
sustainable.
only the only people here that are kind of rare, the Flint, Michigan people didn't have water for the longest time, which I don't even know if they got that fixed now. But they're probably fully aware what it's like to have all your water infected. You
That's
know,
insane. Yeah. Well,
I
let's
couldn't
save
even
that.
imagine that. Yeah, we'll save that one. I'll actually write that down. Um we're gonna talk about that one. That and we'll have to get your boy on. We have a special guest coming up, guys, if we can get him set up.
We'll try to get him on
We'll talk
podcast.
about drugs and alcohol in depth and kind of what surrounds all that. That'll be interesting. All right, well, you don't have anything for me, do you?
I don't know.
You know what? This guy Alex can be brand new, and I guarantee he'll come with something to share.
He'll
Guarantee
come
it.
firing. We gotta get the boy on here. He can talk for days. You and him will
Let's get him
go
on for
well.
next week. Let's see if we can pull that
All right.
off.
I'll talk to him.
All right, so I have this. I think I have this up. So to preface this, I'm gonna send it to you after I preface this here. Okay. I have been thinking about this. So I kind of live in a suburb of St. Louis. We could say that much, Nick. I think we've said that before in here. We both are St. Louis area people. Um, so I drive from kind of closer to the city, not in the city, like 30 minutes home to commute. Without traffic, it's 30 minutes. With traffic, it's like an hour. But when I come back, when I get off work, there's tons of traffic in one direction going to more suburban Missouri areas, St. Louis suburbs, packed, and then going into St. Louis, nothing, right? And when you're looking at a 4-lane highway, 5-lane highway on each side, I literally was it's hit me in like February where I was like, what? This is so wrong. And I'm not gonna say what I thought yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and link the video. I I was literally thinking of this exact thing. I just didn't know how to do it. But literally this exact idea. And this is so cool, and this has been around for a few years. Like it's actually crazy to me. I'm gonna link you right now. I'll pull this up though.
All right.
So the idea, and also, so not just this, but the idea of, I forgot what the term is, the engineering behind controlling traffic. There's a term for it. That's so interesting to me. I don't know why. But this is dope. This is the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
It's
And
like pick them up and
you could
change
do it
it.
right now. Because I literally was thinking, like coming home, I'm like, why don't we just have it so we can shift the middle barrier some way? So in peak hours, we have 7 lanes on one side and only 3 on the side that's not needed. Like, that's exactly what this does. And that's why there's no traffic on the Golden Gate Bridge now. They're so good at it. I read into it. It is so dope how they do it. I mean, obviously you're seeing when they're moving it. It's tough because the big thing's in the middle, right? But once that thing's off, you're rolling. Like they completely study the traffic patterns. They know all the peak times. I think it's the coolest thing ever.
It actually isn't even bad when the thing's on. Like it doesn't change anything. Like all the thing being on there, all it does is take away the lane that they're trying to take away anyway.
Yeah.
So it's on the side of the lane that's being taken away, and then as soon as it's gone, it's like you can merge into the lane.
Just the design of the truck too is so cool. Like the S curve under, like it's a straight truck. It just looks weird because of the curve piece coming out, but that is so cool, man. Like that gives me hope in humanity right there.
Well, was a term like you were looking for. Like I think civil engineering is cool, and I feel like that's like an extension of it, like just like designing cities and traffic flow.
Yeah, that is it. But I know there's a specific term for people that like watch road patterns. There's specific. I'll have to find it. Maybe this civil engineer, but I thought
that
there was
like
more
urban
specific.
Developers.
But dude,
that's
that's a freaking business right there. Especially with how concerned people are with carbon emissions right now, if we could cut down on driving time and commuting time, and all the workers are for it because everybody hates sitting 2 hours of traffic each way every day. I mean, that would be huge. You could get every single city government to pick up a contract with you if you provided that service.
There's really no downside of that other than like a car running into that thing, but
Yeah.
there's no reason. It's just like there maybe need to be
Well,
like
what they could do, um, it's just like they do when they pick up trash and stuff or do road work. Now, what you've seen on the side of the highways where they have these big trucks behind it and they have those huge bumper extensions. So like
mhm.
they have cars way behind to warn everybody, and that stays behind the whole time to kind of create a gap. Um, I think it's dope though, dude. Somebody needs to start a real business doing that full time like that. Imagine what you could do in LA
Think you could be like an
or
independent
Seattle.
contractor
I
doing
bet you
that?
could. I bet you could.
That's our new side hustle. We'll start renting out these zipper trucks.
It is cool. I think there might even be better ways to do it. I don't know how. But obviously, this is our first evolution we're getting, and it's really cool. So we
Wonder if
need it
eventually
though,
the road.
dude. I would. Heck, if they said everybody in St. Louis has to pay $5 for this right now to get this to be a thing, I'll give you $100 if I don't have to sit an extra 30 minutes in traffic. That's huge. My time is worth that.
Interesting. That's pretty sweet. That's revolutionary. That's robot mentality.
I want that in St. Louis like by next year. Period. I don't care how.
Just make it happen. Let's go on Shark Tank.
Yeah. We
Interesting.
can each take
Very
an end of
cool.
the truck. It's like a train where you have the dude in the front and the back.
Hello,
Right?
sharks. Yeah,
All
I
right.
got the
Well,
caboose.
I think that does it for us here. Like literally right under the hour mark. We have 40 seconds to fill. So, anything left, Nick? I
I'm
think.
trying to wait for us to get 40 seconds. That was a joke.
Oh, okay. Okay. We
No,
got
we're
30
good though.
seconds. You're good.
I You want to sign them off?
No, I'll just say, you know what, robots. We'll see you. Hopefully, we'll have a guest on next week. We'll see. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good one. I apologize to everybody. I was spaced out a few times. I don't know why, but I guess I'm just tired. I don't know. But Nick, you
It
want to do the
happens.
honors?
As always, this has been podcast number
11.
11, Robot Mentality. Nick and Ben, good night, robots.
Have a good night, everybody. Bye bye.
Peace.